Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Generations. This is Kelly Fox, and we are here talking about the 12 steps to freedom. And tonight is integration night of step 10, which is trust. Trust is the big one for me. As you know, as you have been listening this month and along with us for these past few seasons, and I'm excited to get into the conversation tonight about how we can integrate more trust into our lives. Trust of ourselves, trust of the process, trust of others, trust of higher power. We're going to talk all things trust. So let me welcome my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry?
I'm doing great. Had a lovely day, and I'm just ready to get into this topic, one of my favorite as well.
Great. So, Terry, start us off with what has been your experience this month with trust and speaking about trust?
Yeah, I think I've had some reflection. I'm working with a group that is one of my support groups, and we've been talking about belief and being clear about what it is that we are passionate about. And I was reading the chapter in the book today about belief and listening to it while I was taking my walk this morning. And I believe that trust, and a huge component of trust, is believing. And in particular, believing in ourselves so that we can trust ourselves, believing in the process of trust, and then really believing in, for me, believing in God, for, whatever your higher power is, believing that God has a plan, and everything that happens to us can be for our better good, and trusting that even the challenges are really a positive way for us to grow and to increase our trust and our belief. And this morning I went to got a leadership summit with teenagers at one of the high schools, and these were the leaders in the band, and the band director I've known since he was born, and he invited me to come and be one of the speakers at the summit about leadership. And it was an opportunity for me to talk to these future leaders that are stepping up and taking leads in the band as being section leaders and leading the other band members. And it was really cool to think about. They're young, but they're very mature. Many of them have thought about these issues of trust and discipline. And as you were asking them about qualities, because I listened to all the different presenters, and everybody said just about the same thing, but in how it worked in their story. And they understood that it was really important that they had discipline, that they accepted challenges. And the teacher talked about successes. He asked them about, well, what successes have we had as a community, a band community? And then he said, what failures? And I was really impressed that the kids said, well, there's no failure. There's just opportunities to learn from whatever didn't work out. And I thought, wow, that is so cool that they believe that the challenges that they've faced have given them an opportunity to practice something different, to analyze what happened, and then to take information from that. So believing that everything that happens, the successes, the challenges, the opportunities that come our way are for our good. And that's a belief, and that's a trust. That's a trust in yourself, a trust in the process, and to me, a supreme trust in God. And that gives you a totally different perspective when you talk about leadership. And it gives you a willingness. It provides an opportunity to be willing to learn and willing to grow based upon believing what happens and trusting what happens in your life. Some things you have control over, some things you don't. That's not really the criteria for believing. Believing that what you control, what you don't control, and the circumstances and challenges that come to you, believing that those are for your good, for your benefit, to grow, to be a leader, to be able to empathize with others, to be able to love, to be able to learn. And I was just really impressed with these young people as I was working with them and listening to what they were hearing all day. And then I was one of the last speakers, and then just kind of tying that together for them and hearing what they were taking away from the day. It was really very, I guess, it increased my belief and trust in the next generation. And I believe these young people are already leaders. They're already leaders today, but what quality of leadership will they have tomorrow and the next day and the next year? And they really were able to grasp and understand, believing and trusting in the process of life and the process of leadership, and in their own capacity to do that, and trusting that will happen. It was very refreshing, and also affirming that there is this generation that can trust themselves and can take instruction and learn and apply that learning so that they can trust and believe in themselves even more. And that, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think when you're a leader as a kid, I feel like that gives you confidence.
Yes.
In the few areas where I stood up and accepted leadership roles, it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to see my capability to lead a class or lead a group or be looked up to, in a sense, and have that responsibility to be a good example. And I think that when we step into those leadership roles, that those things are possible. That's what's going to happen. And we definitely need to trust ourselves to be able to step into those leadership roles and to take the risks necessary to learn and grow from them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, for sure. One of the speakers that was there was Bill Ingram, and it was really fun to listen to him talk because all of my girls were in the band. Shay wasn't in very long, but my three girls that were all in high school at the same time, Kelly, Stacey, and Heather, knew him well and knew his leadership, and it was kind of fun to listen to him talk about how he developed those skills from the time he was really a kid. Story.
Yeah, that would have been interesting to hear.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear that from him, and then I had to laugh though because he talked about one of the qualities of leadership is not yelling at kids, and I thought, oh my goodness, I think he yelled at my kids several times.
Oh yeah.
Michael said the same thing. So it's all in perception, right? But it was fun to listen to him talk about. In fact, everybody that was there except for one person either went to school with my kids, or I taught them in school, or in fact there was only, and then just one other person that's only lived here a year or so. Everyone's a single person. That's and that also made me trust in my life's avocation. Being a teacher, and all those people that were there talking about leaders and being leaders had gone through, they had experienced my leadership. And that was a really heartwarming feeling as well, because here they are talking about leaders, and I had encouraged all of them to step up and take risks and, develop their capacity. I remember when Michael Reynolds, he's the band director, then invited me to talk, and I remember when I was teaching him in seminary, which is a class we do in our church early in the morning every day, and he was in my seminary class, and I remember I did individual interviews with him periodically, and I remember telling him, I said, Michael, you have the potential to be a great leader. I said, people look up to you, and because of your integrity, people watch you. And I can remember that. I don't know if he remembers that conversation, but to see him there, he probably doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I remember telling him that because I saw that in him, and I wanted to encourage him to see that himself. I saw him. I wanted him to see himself as a leader because I had faith in him, and I trusted that he had that capacity. And so to see him up there saying things that I believe and the way that I trust myself and the way I trust the process and I trust God, and to hear him talking to his students with such compassion and honesty, on how he had formulated that belief in himself and that trust, and now he's telling them, I trust you to be great leaders, and I'm going to provide this summit for you so you can hear other people that have made a difference in my life talk to you about leadership. And so I think that's what trust, when you can build a community of people you trust, then they support you. It's a reciprocal support. And like you said, it builds confidence. And there's no way fear can keep you from doing what you want to do when you have confidence. It's kind of like shoot fear away. And that's what the 12 Steps to Freedom are all about, is managing your fear. And when you build confidence, then you build that muscle, that leadership muscle, and you trust that you're having those opportunities. And when there's challenges, you trust that they're for your good. And that's a wonderful way to face life. And as these kids can learn this while they're in high school, there's going to be major issues that people are going to face as they mature and grow and become parents and spouses and, just the things that come into our life as a part of our learning experience. But I just felt so encouraged to hear those kids talk about how they trusted Mike, they trusted each other, and they listened, and they built their trust in themselves. And I thought that was it was a good preparation for tonight's discussion.
Absolutely, that's awesome. Yeah, I did drumline with Mike. And I think we both played the saxophone as well.
Yeah, but I think you did.
And when you were talking, I was thinking about what is something that I would share with them. And a question that came to my mind is what differentiates the first chair from the last chair and I was always the last chair. So what was different between me and the one sitting in the first chair? For one, they wanted to be first chair. So they did what was necessary. They practiced. They, were talented, and they put the work in. And I did not. I didn't care. I just wanted to be in band. I was there for social. And so I did enough to get by, and that was perfectly fine for me. And so it's like when you're looking at your life, are you settling for last chair, or do you want first chair? And if you want first chair, are you trusting in your ability and your desire and your dedication to be able to get there? Because I truly believe that anyone can be good at an instrument. It just might take more practice. than the guy next to you. And if we can constantly practice whatever it is that we're wanting to practice to get better at, and maybe that's our confidence muscle we want to practice, or taking risks, or, you know, speaking up, or saying hello to a stranger, whatever it is that we're practicing, as long as we keep practicing, we are going to get good at it. And we are going to excel at it. And it's just a consistent practice. And I know that self-doubt can creep in, and I know that discouragements of life creep in, and consequences of choices of ourselves and others creep in. And it's not always easy to be consistent or to keep practicing. And that's okay. There's moments where we sit on the sideline. There's moments where we get yelled at and we have to go sit in the bleachers by Mr. Ingram. There's moments where we are not in the game, and that's okay, because everybody needs to take a rest sometimes, and to reevaluate, and to re-gauge, and to refocus and get clarity. And if that's where you are right now, trust that that's where you need to be. And when you're ready and you're willing to practice again, get up and start practicing.
Yeah, I love that.
Because
I think
when
that's
you
a lot of
start,
trust. I mean, that's trust, yeah. That's trusting. I mean, trusting that we are where we are, and, you know, maybe it's where we're meant to be at the moment in time, or it's just where we are. And trusting that doesn't mean that we failed. It just means that that's where we are, and you reflect, what can I learn from this? What do I clearly want? Because I think for me, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but for me, there's times that my want, I mean, it changes. And I have to stop and say, is this what I really want? Is it ethical? Is it supportive? Is it what I really want? Is it in alignment with my values? And sometimes the answer is no. And then I can, well, okay, then let me get clear on what I do want. And again, we do that in a variety of ways. I'll meditate and pray about it and get that clarity that way. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it's just pivoting or you know, turning and going in a little bit different direction. It's that, trusting that process as well. Because I think in my life, one of the stumbling blocks for me, and I think I've learned that at this point, is sticking with something regardless if it's the right thing for me to do at that moment. If I start something, it's like, oh, I'm going to be loyal to that until the end, and yet sometimes the clarity tells me it's really not what I want, but I said I wanted it. So it's that lack of trust of me listening to my intuition, and the lack of trust that if I do the right thing, I'll know that, and it's not going to hurt anyone else if I change and am more clear in what I want. It's really being true to myself, you know, trusting myself and believing in myself. And I think sometimes I feel like, of course, you know, you're working in so many areas in your life, your family relationships, your career, your spirituality, your health. There's so many. I mean, I think when we do our workshop, there's 9 areas that we ask people to look and choose an area to work on at a time. And so I can say, well, in this area of my life, I feel 100% clear, and I trust myself, you know, like on a 1 to 10 at a 10, or, you know, never below a 9. I mean, I really trust myself in that area. And then there's other areas in my life that I haven't built that level of trust. And so it's not like, oh, I'm at trust. I have a trust in all parts of my life. That isn't the way my life works. There may be people that they have that, but it's like it's constantly making that choice of what I want to work on, getting the clarity of knowing what I want, and then setting the plan around that, setting the goals and the intention around that with that clarity, but yet staying flexible and adaptable enough to be open to it changing. And I think that's sometimes hard for people to do because they feel like if they're going to change, then they've lost trust. But that is not, I don't think that's the truth. I think when we change, we're trusting, gain more clarity, because once we go through life, things happen, things change, people come in and out of our lives, and that helps us to be clear. I think clarity is just so foundational to being able to go in the direction and trust that you are in alignment with your values and your passion. So that's one thing that I think I've learned in my journey since I found Fearless Living. So it's been a little over 10 years that I've been, working this process and trusting this process of these 12 steps and working with the strategies and tools of Fearless Living that have allowed me to see, hey, it's okay. It's okay to change and to be more clear about what you want to do. And as you set your goals around your intentions, to be more clear, because those goals are helping you to gain those results that keep you going forward, that allow you to take risks. And so I think that has a lot to do with trust as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know as I've grown in my trust of myself, what I've been able to do has definitely grown as well. And like you said, there's different levels of trust in different areas of our lives. Trusting our intuition might be at a 6. Trusting, that we know how to do our job might be at a 9. Trusting that we can trust this, particular person in our life might be at a 2. It might be in all these different places. But if we focus on how we're trusting ourselves and being able to show up as ourselves, practicing that is going to increase our trust across the board. Because if we can show up as who we are and how we want to be in whatever situation we're in, then that is going to give us a lot of confidence, and it's going to increase our ability to trust ourselves. Yeah. And that is what I practice every day. Can I show up as me? Can I be honest? Can I be vulnerable? Can I be open wherever I am with whoever I'm with? Or do I feel a need to hide or to shun or to lie about who I am or what I'm doing? Because if I can trust that wherever I am is okay, however I'm feeling is okay, whatever I'm doing or not doing is where I am. And if I can trust and accept myself, but, still, wanting to be better, but trust and accept that I am doing the best I can when I can, how I can, then I'm going to be able to go farther than if I am doubting myself.
Yeah, and I think doubt creeps in just because we're human and it's human nature. But when you build that trust muscle, it just, you don't feel it as often, you don't feel it as intense as what's the word I'm trying to say, intensely, and you don't feel it for as long because you've developed that trust muscle to say, I don't need to doubt myself, because even if this doesn't go the way I want it to go, it's okay. I'm going to learn from that. It's going to be for my better good, and I just need to trust myself and do it, even if I might be afraid or I'm doubting I can do it. It's like when I did that little thing this morning with those kids, I had probably 3 or 4 hours worth of content that I could have talked to them about. I had 30 minutes, and I just trusted that. I trusted that after I had listened, because I purposely went and stayed and listened to what everybody else said, and I trusted that whatever I heard them say, I would know which little bit of information I wanted to share, because it would be in alignment with what they'd already heard, And I just trusted that I didn't have to take a outline or anything. It would be there, and it was, because I trusted that it would be, And I've built that muscle over, a long time.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, I love that. So we're getting down to the last 4 minutes of the show tonight, and I have loved our conversation. What would be the number one thing that you would want the audience to walk away with tonight that wraps up the month of trust?
Yeah, I think for me, it is trusting. For me, it's trusting God. It might be different for you, but because I trust God and I have conversations with Him every day, I just trust that whatever situation I'm in, if I ask Him to be there with me and guide me through my intuition, I trust that will happen. And it just gives me the confidence to go ahead and do the things that I do. So trust builds confidence, and confidence allows you to face your fears and do it anyway.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. I definitely think that trust starts from within, and wherever you need to starts there. If it's trusting in yourself to be able to trust in the things outside of you, then do it that way. If it's trusting in the things outside of you so that you can trust in yourself, do it that way. Whatever it is, start taking little baby steps and practicing trusting. For me, it's trusting myself. When I can trust myself, I can trust the things outside of myself. And that's not how it used to be. I trusted everything outside of myself and didn't trust myself at all. So for me, it starts with me. But whatever you start with, if it's like Terry, if it's trusting in your higher power, or if it's trusting the process, or if it's trusting in spirit, or trusting whatever it may be, just start there and start taking one little baby step after another. And, there's not going to ever be a perfect moment or a perfect situation or anything that allows you to just step forward and be in trust. It's going to be those little baby steps that you take each day to get you closer. So just start taking them. But thank you so much, Terry, for being here with me tonight and having this conversation. We want to remind you that the 12 Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. If you would like to know more about the Fearless Living Institute, please go to fearlessliving.org. You can find everything Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org, from our free workshops to our 6-week classes to our 12-month program. There's also all of the episodes from the last 9 seasons there as we come even closer to the end of season 9, all there for your access. And just great content on the website, as well as all over our social medias, which you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, as Fearless Generations. So please go check us out, consume that content, let us know how it's supporting you. We want to hear back from you. We want to get direction from you, share with you the best tools and strategies that we can so that you can live the life that you want to live. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Until next week, be fearless.
Good night. Be fearless.
So I know you've got a lot going on, but remember, I'm here for you. So bother me when no one's listening, because I will. Bother me when it feels like it won't get better, because it can. Bother me because you're never a bother. Whether it's a low point or a crisis, get help for yourself or a friend. Learn more at neverabother.org or call or text 988, available 24/7.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.